Project FitFo. What's going on, everybody? Here we are on the Project FitFo podcast. This is where we discuss with special guests things about them and their entrepreneurial journey and their personal journey, and how they figured it the F out. So this is what we're doing today. On today's podcast, I'm going to tell you a special guest. I know I may say that every single podcast, but that's because every single podcast I have a special guest on here. And today, this one's near and dear to my heart because he is my barber, Solomon Mitchell, for those that want to know his government name, right? But Solo, let me tell you just a little bit of my history and how I actually met this young man. I was actually looking for a barber moving to Dallas, and I couldn't find anybody. I couldn't find anybody whatsoever. And one of my trainers, Jacoby Veals, actually said, "Hey, you should go see my barber." And Jacoby was always fresh.
Yeah.
His hair, his beard, everything was always fresh. And I was like, okay, yeah, I could see from the example that this is going to be good. And then I met Solo. I went for an appointment, and let me tell you, walked into his establishment. The ambiance was just so refreshing because it was a young man by himself with one chair. He had a nice living room furniture set in there, big screen TV, plants. It had a great smell, a great vibe. It was just a vibe of somebody who was very professional. And I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely somewhere I could be. And I sat down in that chair, and this man gave me the cut of the century.
Yeah.
And then every single time I go in, he gives me another cut of the century. So with that being said, that is the story behind my meeting Solo. Now I'm going to introduce y'all to Solo Mitchell. Solo, thank you very much for being here.
Oh, yeah,
man.
it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna dive in. First of all, how old are you? Where are you from? And what got you into the barbershop?
So I'm 25 from Dallas, Texas. And man, what got me starting to cut hair was the simple fact I needed one. So you know how during COVID-19, whenever that first eradicated the United States, everybody was trying to learn how to cut their hair themselves. I did that about 10 years ago. My dad used to cut our hair. He had 7 boys, and he wasn't going to take us all to the barbershop. So he was cutting hair himself, or he was cutting our hair himself. And he went like 2 months without giving us a haircut. And then I decided, because I was a very much solution-based type of guy. And so I was like, yo, I need to do something about this, because I was a perfectionist at the heart. Growing up, I was always about image and brand. And so I was like, yo, let me cut my hair myself and let's see where it go. Not knowing that 10 years from now, I'll be right here.
Yeah,
so.
10 years in the game. And 24 years old.
25, yeah.
25 years old.
That's all I ever did.
Wow. So from 15 years old till now.
Yeah.
And you figured it the F out.
Yeah.
You see how that all works?
Yeah,
it all comes together, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So you went ahead and got that. But I know you gave me a story one time about you in college as well, and how you started to actually, venture into this, because you didn't go to school for cosmetology or for barbering or for any of that stuff.
Yeah,
correct?
No. I did it after.
You did it after.
Did everything
what did you
backwards.
initially go to school for?
I initially went to school for fashion merchandising. Back to me being the perfectionist type of dude, all about image and brand. I went to school to pursue my dreams of being like a creative director for a big-time fashion brand. That was me. I was a guy going to school in suits, in my college classes in like a full 2-piece suit.
Clean.
Yeah, clean every day. And so that's what I went to school for. And I just, somehow tied that into barbering also. It's all about image.
So you were cutting out of your dorm room, correct?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. So when you were cutting out of your dorm room. I know you were doing visits and stuff like that also, and house visits and stuff like that, right? Can you speak more about that?
Yeah, so early on, I went to college mainly to pursue fashion. That was on my only focus, because at the time, barbering was still not a passion of mine. I did it because I knew how to do it. I was kind of artistic when it came to cutting hair, but never really developed the passion to do it at a college level, But I still brought my clippers with me, and I tried, and I gave it a shot. Victory Hall, 3234.
Shout out to Victory Hall. All y'all that got that cut in the dorm room.
Yeah, that was literally the room that transformed my entire life. Because set up shop in there. It was a private dorm, so I was fortunate enough to have my own room. I set up one of the studying chairs we had in there that rocked a little bit. So as clients laid back a little, it kind of rocked and, you know, messing up the haircut doing that. But I think that was the premise to what happened now or what's happening now. That dorm room, just learning how to do things. They're practicing the fundamentals of cutting hair, learning about different tools, learning about people, networking with people, and then we used that Victory Hall 3234 to go to our next space, which is our apartment. Still doing the same thing. Still really haven't developed a passion for it just yet, but we're slowly getting tuned into like, okay, how do I want to take this to a whole nother level? Figuring it out, you know. But yeah, I'll never regret the experiences I had cutting hair in the dorm room. I think that's why I'm here today.
The humble beginnings.
Oh yeah, the humble beginnings.
Right, and the grind as well. So you were at that time probably 18, 19 years old.
18, 19.
And you were trying to figure out how to make this a business.
Yeah.
But you hadn't really quite had a passion for it yet. But that's amazing to me. You know, I've got 4 kids, and my youngest is 19, my oldest is 27. And, you know, so I'm very aware of that age group.
Yeah.
And it amazes me the fact of how old you are and how much of a business mindset you've had since such a young age. What kind of advice would you give to your generation and even the generation that's coming up behind you on how to get where you're at currently? And we haven't even touched into that, but just the grind in itself, could you just speak on that to them? And, you know, so that way they can take your advice and possibly make themselves successful.
Yeah. I think you need like sniper focus on what you want to do. A lot of people want to do a lot of different things. It's okay. But what I learned in college was focusing on the one thing. I was a guy who liked to just do a lot of things and just try to see what will work for me at the end. But what I found out was whenever you do multiple things at once, you never can give that one thing 100%. And so for me, I was like, okay, if this is what I want to do, or if this is something that I'm good at, let me give it a sniper focus mentality. Let me give this 110% and see where it'll take me. And I call it like a reckless obedience to like the call on your life. And that's what I had at a very young age. I eliminated distractions, things that I thought weren't for me. I didn't really give too much concentration to it. I was the type of guy that people say you learn a lot or experiences are your best teacher, and it can be. But some things don't really require you to learn the hard way. I was very much a guy at a young age that if you tell me something, I'm going to listen and apply it. I was big on application whenever I heard good advice. And so I used that as a young dude, and it'll let you live a life with like less regrets. I don't really have that many regrets in my life. Not to say I lived the perfect life at all, but I really don't have that many life regrets because I had a laser focus, a sniper focus at a very young age. And I was not a guy that you had to tell things multiple times to. You tell me one time, I'm going to learn, I'm going to apply it.
Because you didn't do too much partying or craziness.
Nah.
Did you? I mean, I know you were in a fraternity.
Yeah.
And, you know, you definitely did the fraternity stuff, but it wasn't to an extent to where it messed up your business.
No, yeah.
I think that's, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think that's one of the key things here is that you still had fun.
Yeah.
But you didn't allow it to mess with your journey. Is that correct?
Correct. Boundaries. I had like deep boundaries on what's serious, what's for fun, and what's not serious. I mean, the parties was cool. I was a part of a fraternity, and you know, we partied a lot, almost every week or every other week. But I knew that, if I want to see my life as I envisioned it as a kid, because I was a young kid born from Oak Cliff, Texas. So the predestined story for guys like me, in short. And so I was one of the guys that, if I want to live a life of fruitfulness, a life of prosperity, I have to make sure that I have these boundaries around my life at a very young age to where I'm not really forfeiting my destiny, So I practiced that at a young age. And
did that scare you, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
You know, being from Oak Cliff, which, there was, I believe you told me a stat about, or maybe somebody else that told me a stat about Oak Cliff, like pretty much everybody at least 80 to 90% of people would either spend time in jail at some point
Mhm.
or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
All right. And then, so how did that make you feel, at such a young age, and how did that actually contribute to where you're at today?
Yeah, it's scary because you look at your life like, yo, am I a statistic?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at your life like, man, am I a number? And you use that. I use that as fuel to not be one of those type of people, And then my parents instilled that in us in a very young age. Very, I wouldn't call it strict, but very demanding of respect. The things that they say, you only have to say it one time. You had to listen,
Mm,
because
yeah.
if not, then
And you're one of the younger ones.
yeah, number
So
six,
number
six of
six,
nine.
6 of 9, right? So your parents had a large amount of children,
Yeah.
and so when it came to responsibilities
Mhm.
and structure,
Mhm.
your household
Oh
was
yeah,
very structured,
yeah,
right?
precise,
Precise.
very precise.
And you couldn't really do anything because your brothers and your sisters would find out
Yeah.
that it was a wrap.
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious. It's probably how come you're so straight and narrow. You're like, man, I know somebody's watching. If I got,
Has to
you
learn
know,
6 times.
exactly. So, but it's interesting, and I'm gonna go ahead and look at you guys out there watching this because it's so important to understand. This man is 25 years old. 25 years old, and you can hear that once you lock in, and you can still have fun, have a good time, but yet stay focused on the business that you want to do and on your future. I mean, it's wow, sky's the limit,
Oh yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and fast forward here. So you were in I almost said barracks. So I was in military life. You were in the dorms, right? And you were cutting hair, and then now it came time to graduate college, move on. Where'd you go from there?
I think that was probably one of my greatest decisions of my life.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most difficult was to, am I going to use this degree, or am I going to pursue something that I've been building since 15, 16 years old? And that was a tension I had to deal with it back in 2020. And I would just hear the horror story of my peers saying, yo, man, it's corporate America. It isn't what people said it was going to be back when we were younger. We were taught to go to school, go to college, get your degree, and go, find a job.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, it wasn't that easy for a lot of people, and it wasn't that like emotionally pleasing for them. And so I pursued my dreams of being an entrepreneur. I was like, okay, if I hone in on this skill, get better at it, invest more of my time and energy and money to this craft, let's just see where it'll take me. Still not really super passionate about it, but I
Mhm.
was like, yo, let's just see where it'll take me. And I knew I went to school for fashion. Somehow I tied that into barbering because not one male or female even on this planet, after you get a haircut, you're not looking at like the overall image of yourself. So it's kind of considered fashion, in a sense. And so I applied those skills and graduated college, moved into my rental home at the time, and I set a barbershop in there. We had a nice little sunroom, and I transformed that whole entire space into a barbershop. And so that was officially the first spot of Inspired Cuts, officially. And, I was super excited about it.
Mhm.
Was able to do a lot of content in that room, was able to transform a lot of different lives in that room, was able to connect to a lot of different people. But I think it took the decision of me um, to really pursue the things that I was passionate about as a young kid, to be able to be successful in that room. And so it led me here. So I can't
You should have
complain.
seen the smile on your face when you were talking about it,
Yeah.
man. You should have seen because that was probably a hustle.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're very proud of that
Oh,
hustle.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny looking at your demeanor right now when you spoke of that. You were just like you're so excited. You lit up
Yeah.
just right now.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what's to come. So we now have this space at the rental home.
Mhm.
It's done,
Mhm.
and now we're moving forward.
Mhm.
So tell us about moving into the spot that you're at right now.
Yeah, another great decision I had to make, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And at this time, I still wasn't even a licensed barber. I had to do everything backwards because, like I said, barbering was never anything that I really wanted to do. I just kind of fell into it. And so I had to do everything backwards. It was humble for me, for my instructor to know who I was while I was enrolling. She's like, yo, I think I follow you on Instagram. So I developed a skill level to where it was noticeable, and it got a lot of recognition in Dallas, Texas, to where my instructor knew who I was. And it was kind of humble for me to enroll in barber school, knowing that the teacher knew you're this good, but you're not even legal.
Dang.
Yeah. And so you talk about humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And so, but I use that as fuel. A lot of people use that as a sign of discouragement, a sign of I'm not good enough, a sign I'm doing everything the wrong way, a sign of I should pivot into another career because I may get caught. I was one of them guys like, yo, I have nothing else to do. So this has to work because I can control it. I can control me going to school, getting a license, putting in the hours. I can control me doing content to make my business grow. I can control those things. And so knowing that, I was able to take it to a whole nother level. But so I moved from my home into the new space. And man, that was a great decision I had to make because it cost a lot financially.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3-year commitment that I had to make to a certain space, not knowing if it will work. I'm moving locations. A lot of my clients was in like the northern Dallas area. I was moving kind of central Dallas. So I risked like losing clientele. I went up on prices just because expenses got higher.
Oh, we don't skip that one. We got to talk about that because we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So you talk about raising prices.
Yeah.
It's another thing. I'm going to look at the camera again. This is another thing that people have a hard time with, raising their price points.
Mhm.
Here's this young man moving from a spot that you established.
Mhm.
You got legal in the barbering world, right? And then went and moved somewhere further than where your clients were normally at and then rose the prices up on them.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Tell me about that one.
That was tough
Uh-huh.
because you're faced with a lot of fear and doubt. You're doubting yourself on if I'm good enough. Am I even worthy enough to even charge this type of price? Considering the move and everything. But a lot of it has to do with, you're doing good. You perfected a skill. You gained the following. You gained the support of your peers. So it's like a why not?
Now, how many years have you been in the barbering game at this point to where
at that point,
you felt the level of I can raise my prices to X from where it was?
I was like about 6 years in.
Okay.
About 6 years in, and I felt confident like, if I charge $50, $60 for a haircut, then I feel like they'll pay it or wouldn't have a problem paying it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew the hours I put into it, a lot of hours, a lot of hard work. We have the top-notch supplies, top-notch equipment. So it just made sense for me. The skill level was there. And then we move into a different space to where you still receive this eloquent, exclusive, private experience for every client. It's a one-on-one experience with everybody. So, I considered a premium. So it allowed me the flexibility to kind of do what I want when it came to pricing.
Well, you are right. You are right, because I walk in there.
Yeah.
And very rarely is there more than 2 people
Mm-hmm.
in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go in there, occasionally there's one that's waiting.
Yeah.
Right? But that's it. Like, you don't have a line of people. There's not loud music with curse words.
Yeah.
I'm big on that.
Yeah.
Right? There's no kids running around screaming,
Mhm.
jumping up and down on furniture or nothing. We talked about that one too. Right? It's an ultimate gentleman's establishment to
Mhm.
where somebody like myself can relax,
Mhm.
get my hair cut, get my beard trim, have a great conversation, or I can fall asleep as long as I don't bob my head. Right? We talked about that one too.
Yeah.
I've mastered the art of falling asleep standing up, so I can
Mhm.
do it in a chair and stay still. But it's a great experience, a great ambiance, like you said, and it's eloquent, as you
Mhm.
said as well. Being able to walk in your space,
Yeah.
so now you can charge that
Mhm.
charging that price point. So let's dive a little into business and the business aspect. So now you've got this place. Did you have an LLC yet?
Mhm.
Okay, so you knew how to establish an LLC.
Yeah.
So impressive. All right. And you established your business. Inspired Cuts
Mhm.
is the name of your barbershop. And it's also the name of all your brand as
Mhm.
well.
Well, the brand is Solomon Mental Enterprises.
Okay.
The barbershop is inspired.
Excuse me. I messed that up. Yeah. My bad. So say it one more time.
So the overall like parent company, holding company is Solomon Mental Enterprises. and
Okay.
then we operate under Inspired Cuts.
So that way you can have multiple businesses under your
Under Solomon,
under
yeah.
your umbrella. Genius. I love it. I love it. This guy's almost as good as me. Not yet, though. Nah, yeah, you're actually better than me because that's one of the things I respect about you. I have the utmost respect for you is the fact that I know what I was doing at your age, and I was not in the headspace that you're in, which is very respectable. I'm like, man, this is awesome. I always love that about you. Every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to a peer, which you are, a business peer, rather than, somebody who's 20 years older than you. And, it's just, I don't feel like that ever when I speak to you. It's amazing. Where other people that are out in the world, I feel that level of distance. But with you, there is none. So it's amazing to me. So you got your business, LLC. And you went ahead and you jumped into having your own space. You're doing really well. Let's talk about client or customer issues that you've had.
Man.
Without naming anybody, but let's talk about your biggest challenge that you had with clients, because it's important for entrepreneurs to understand. Satisfying the consumer is a big part of business.
Oh, yeah.
It's a major part of business. Being compensated for the value you provide is the second part. So what were your challenges? Do you have any challenges?
Yeah, every day, pretty much. Dealing with people, and I deal with average 10 to 15 people every single day, men every single day. So every day is a challenge. One of the biggest challenges that I had, it came from people not realizing the value and the type of services that we provide. So we kind of go over and above for a lot of different people. Really, you should do it for everybody. But when people don't value it or look at it in that way and try to demean the price point or the value of the particular service, that could kind of trigger you as a business owner. It's like somebody walking into your establishment and not
demanding a discount.
Yeah, demanding a discount. Or I think I should go 2 months without paying my monthly dues or something like that because this happened. It's like, really? Is that really how how you consider my business? But at the end of the day, you have to look at those type of situations. Some people just don't value a haircut as much as other people. They don't see it as a level of I have to do this, but just like a recreational thing. Like I can, but I don't really have to. It's one of those type of things that you deal with a lot of people. So I feel like that particular moment, I have plenty of those moments that happen in my whole lifespan of the business, but moments where people don't really value the type of service and then they try to demean it as if you're nothing.
Like it's a hobby or something.
Yeah. That was a key moment in my business journey.
And I would expect that the opposite. So what was your greatest accomplishments when it comes to clients?
Man, being able to travel. Able to travel and provide services. So I've traveled to Cabo to do a wedding. We're traveling to Miami this weekend to do a wedding service. I traveled to Boston to cut hair and come back the same day. So being able to travel is one of the things I'm like, I actually enjoy doing. Can I see myself doing it for a long-term type of gig? Probably so, because we love traveling. But yeah, I think being able to travel and then just being able to put a smile on men's faces when they look in the mirror, especially the first-time clients. They're like, bro, I'm not even going to my old barber, bro. I'm like, yeah, it's like, how can I like it with you, man? So moments like those, when I can get somebody that recurs with me and get on schedule, those are some of the like key and highlight moments of my barbering journey.
That's awesome. And I've met a lot of your recurring clients, the ones that continue to come back. And every last one of them is like, I'm not leaving you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same thing with me. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What barbers?
It's
There's
like
no
a
barbers out there.
lifetime
There's only one person. And, I did have a barber in California for, almost 13 years, I think it was, that I went to him. And then when I left and I moved to Texas, obviously I couldn't bring him with me. But it's like I feel like that same level here with you is like I'm able to be able to, I guess, have that type of connection.
Mhm.
So, and I'm super excited about it.
Oh yeah.
So it's been a journey
Mhm.
with us already.
Yeah.
And it's only been a year and a
Like
half.
year and a half.
So
Year and a half.
I'm excited to see where you go from here.
Oh yeah.
Because I think it's going to be tremendous. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the plans. Number
Yeah.
one, we got to talk about the personal life.
Yeah.
I got to throw you. I know your wife, your fiance is in here right now, but we're going to keep her off camera per her request. But you're about to get married.
Mm-hmm.
You got engaged
Yes, sir.
recently.
Yes,
so
sir.
25 years old,
Mhm.
going to be getting married. But you also purchased your first home
Mm-hmm.
as well about, maybe 6 months ago?
But almost a year ago.
Almost a year
June
ago. Time is flying.
Yeah.
So you purchased your first home.
Mhm.
You got a fiance, beautiful fiance. Going to be getting married. Where you getting married at?
Cabo.
Oh. Uh-oh. We're going to Mexico.
Going to Mexico.
So we go to Cabo, getting married. So with business and your personal life,
Mhm.
how's that been? Now I'm going to ask a little
Yeah.
deeper question. So how is it that you're able to think about the wedding,
Mhm.
the future with your wife,
Mhm.
and then the business?
Mhm.
So what do you see yourself and how do you see yourself planning this out together?
Yeah. It's fun actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to be able to find the balance. Because having that balance is kind of almost impossible. But learning how to,
Do you remember what I told you about balance?
yeah,
What is it?
you said it's like no such thing, right?
There's no such thing as balance.
Mhm.
Do you remember what I told you what it was?
What you say?
Harmony.
Harmony. I
You know
like
why-
that.
You
I
know
like
why
that.
it's harmony, right?
Mhm.
Because it's harmony, you got to harmonize. So one song comes on the radio
Mhm.
and it's got too much bass.
Mhm.
So you got to lower the bass, maybe up the treble.
Yeah.
Right? Still got a good vibe.
Mhm.
Next song comes on. It's got no bass.
Mhm.
You got to turn up the bass or you got to turn down the bass, got to turn up the treble. The point is that every song that comes on the radio might be a little different.
Yep.
So every situation in business might be a little different. You might have to give more attention to your personal life
Right.
and more attention to your business life on another day.
All right.
So it's all harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So if you harmonize and you kind of go through the motions of each day and figuring out which one needs your attention the most
Right.
and prioritize,
Mhm.
well, then life is good.
Yeah.
But if you try to balance, what's balance? 50-50.
Right.
There's no such thing.
Right.
There's absolutely no such thing. Because some days you got to give more attention. You got to give 75, 25.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, and I think you've mastered that art, actually.
Mm.
I've watched you.
I appreciate it.
So, and I think it's great. So, what's the next question? Where we go from here? So we got the business, we got the personal life.
Mhm.
Now we got the
Future plans.
Oh yeah,
Future plans.
I was about to say let's see how that's going. So
Yeah.
I know you've told me a few things, but I'm
Oh, yeah.
excited. Go ahead. And let them know.
We just cranking it up a notch. Just cranking
Mm-hmm.
it up a notch. So I have a 5 to 10 year plan of what I want to do as far as in the cosmetology sector. And it just pertains to an educational platform for guys. A lot of people reach out to me as far as learning the skill, learning how we do content, learning how we do our branding, different things along that sector on how they can improve their business. So I'm like, okay, if I'm getting that type of demand, let's develop an educational platform for other cosmetologists, other barbers in the industry, and how we can teach them the standard. So definitely from an educational platform, we're looking to expand. Also from a physical standpoint, brick and mortar standpoint, we're looking to expand. So those same guys that we're going to have in an educational platform, we'll bring them along to the actual brick and mortar shop and cut alongside Solomon.
I love it.
Yeah, and teach them the standard of inspired cuts, the standard of how we do things from a cultural standpoint. And then after that, just shop plan. Different shops, products, and different types of services that we're looking to include. Basically, just transforming the whole cosmetology business. Our slogan is actually redefine grooming.
Mm.
And so we're going to bring a whole new scope, a whole new lens to how people even consider a haircut. It's fashion.
I love it. I love it.
It's fashion.
I love it. Man, you've always impressed me. You were just I'm telling you, top of the line. Anybody that's out there, if you are a young entrepreneur, and you need advice, guidance, suggestion, or anything, please reach out. Where can they find you at, my man?
Man, I'm in Addison.
Tell them your IG and all that good stuff. Come on.
Yeah, you can find me at my personal page is Solo Mitchy, SoloMitchy. My business page is Inspire Cuts, INSPIRE Cuts, CUTS.
There we go.
Either one of those.
My man. Hey, just be sure to like, subscribe, watch this whole episode because you're going to get gems. I love this. And those of you that need to be inspired out there and need to actually learn from somebody that is of a young age, who's killing it in the game, got a beautiful family already. I mean, you're blessed, brother. You are blessed. So I want to say thank you for coming on to the, don't shake, you got to shake my hand. Thank you for coming on that Project FitFo podcast. And remember, for those of you out there that are trying to get in the game, follow us, and then you can learn to figure it the F out. And we're out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for visiting Project FitFo podcast. If you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to like, subscribe, and share to somebody that this would actually benefit, or just because it's pretty funny and it has some interesting shit. So with that, please visit us on Spotify and on YouTube, and you can also look us up on the gram. I look forward to hearing from all of you. If you want something good, go ahead and comment Project FitFo, and I'm going to send you something in your inbox. Talk soon.